From the KATC Weather Lab, here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. Well, lots of good news here locally in Acadiana. Front on the way. It's going to generate some showers later on tonight. Very pleasant conditions on the way tomorrow, for the rest of the week, the weekend, and more than likely early next week, especially if Irma's well to our east. That's just going to reinforce the relatively pleasant air for several more days. So the 10-day forecast looks great. Bad news, tropics set on 11 this evening, and we have a big storm to talk about. More on Irma in just a bit, and two other systems. So let's get to it, show you what's happening on the radar and satellite composite. You can see our frontal boundary moving to the south, and it's got a fair bit of shower and thunder shower activity. Now, the short range models are indicating this activity is going to fall apart, but I've got the rain chances up to 40%. They may go at a 60% depending on the current trends. And some of that activity working its way into power Doppler HD territory with scattered showers and thunder showers moving into northern Allen, an isolated cell in Evangeline, and activity moving out of Avoyelles heading for northern St. Landry Parish. So some showers on the way. It's going to happen when most of us sleep, except for meteorologists who look at late model runs. But then by tomorrow, the shower should be ending and drier air moving in. You can see that front showing up nicely here on the satellite imagery, but we do think this weekend's a little bit overnight tonight. We'll keep an eye on things. Meanwhile, tropics heated up. We have a system in the southwestern Gulf we'll talk a little bit more about shortly. Two other systems in the Atlantic, of course, Irma and Jose, by the way, that could become a Category 2 storm down the line. But all the focus is on Irma as it bears down on the northeastern Caribbean, the Leeward Islands here, and a very impressive storm. Switching it over to the 1 minute goes 16 imagery is just outstanding imagery. It looks absolutely beautiful, but yet it is terrifying at the same time. This is Barbuda. So would you want to be on this island? Absolutely not. It's going to produce a tremendous surge and more than likely winds exceeding 160. This is a 185-mile-per-hour storm, and you're going to see that in some of the rain bands that are working their way around a nearly perfect eye here. So as we look at Irma here and take a look at the latest particulars, 185-mile-per-hour sustained winds, gusts to 225 when you have a 185 storm. Don't know if those are ever realized, because most anemometers break in the 185 range. Moving to the west-northwest at 15, so on that track, it's going to scrape the northeasternmost Caribbean, more than likely going directly over the British Virgin Islands. You get into the U.S. Virgin Islands, maybe not as much, certainly down towards St. Croix better, but St. Thomas not so good. And then as we get into the northern portions of Puerto Rico, it's still a Category 5 storm, and expected to stay that way for 2 days, which is incredible in itself. And then we'll brush Cuba. Hopefully some of the mountains take some of the sting out of the storm. But by Sunday evening, right over Key West. So that means hurricane conditions more than likely developing overnight Saturday night, South Florida, and then perhaps up along the coast as we go between two ridges of high pressure. Very subtle upper level low that will be near us as we go into early next week. So we do think this is going to make a northward run after it messes around with Cuba later this weekend into the weekend. So here's the European model. There's Katia more than likely, and then we have our Irma. And again, this is just one model projection. It's not an official forecast, but very close to the National Hurricane Center forecast, putting the center of the storm right over Key West. And then more than likely hurricane conditions both coasts, possibly for Florida and much of the peninsula. The panhandle is going to be in much better shape, provided that the storm follows this track, and then the heavy rains move to the north. And by the way, we'll be talking about Jose for quite a while down the line. Meanwhile, in the Gulf of Mexico, tropical depression number 13, still a depression, but likely to become a tropical storm tomorrow. If so, the name will be Katia. It's going to do a clockwise loop down in the Bay of Campeche because of the cool air coming in. Could be very close to a hurricane, believe it or not, as we head into Friday, then making landfall thereafter. We do think it's going to stay contained well to the south. So for us, it's a temperature forecast. After the showers tonight, lower 80s tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, here's the good stuff locally, getting down into the upper 50s to lower 60s. Absolutely pleasant, finally weather where you can open up the windows, and then going into Thursday, lots of sunshine, temperatures topping out in the lower 80s. comfortable humidity as well. So rain chances 40% tonight, scattered showers, possibly a few thunderstorms. We'll go with 40% for now. Could be a little higher in spots. 72 the low, 83 the high tomorrow morning. Clouds giving way to afternoon sun, perhaps a shower first thing in the morning, but that's going to move out quickly, and a nice breeze out of the north at 10 to 15. As we go down the road at this point, we're not concerned with IRMA. A lot of folks want to know, will it be coming our way? We don't think so at this point. We're going to be sitting back and enjoying some gorgeous weather over the next 10 days with comfortable humidity and very pleasant overnight lows in the low to mid 60s, upper 50s in a few outlying areas for several nights for Thursday night, Friday night, and it looks like perhaps even Saturday night as well. So very bad news for the Caribbean and eventually Florida. And I'm afraid people are going to forget about the Harvey disaster with the IRMA disaster on the horizon.
Still ongoing.
Likely to unfold this weekend.
All right, thanks, Rob. And still ahead on the news at 10 o'clock tonight, people in Florida not